www.power102fm.com. Breaking the Cycle starts now with host Garth Christopher. Good evening, Garth.
Well, good evening, David, and thank you very much, and a very pleasant evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and everybody who is listening to this great radio station, Power102.1 FM, locally, regionally, and internationally. This is Breaking the Cycle. For a moment, I think it just might be a no border, you know, going as far as it is safe to go, you know what I'm saying? But let's get to work. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some guests in studio tonight, but I'll tell you something. If these guests in studio tonight, most likely, and of course I don't have on my glasses, so you see me squinching up my eyes. I'd have been talking about the crime situation in this country. The damn thing is in a mess, man. We are not past July as yet. My month, of course. But let me tell you something. I would have been talking about a crime situation in this country for sure. We have a minister of national security. God, boy, Lord, God have mercy on our poor souls in this country, you know. Did I say one minister of national security? 3 ministers of national security. Ladies and gentlemen, and look at a crime situation. They came to us sometime last week with some kind of a, what is that? Is that a crime plan? I mean, it was the stop and search, maybe a week or 2 before was his crime plan. Now he came out with another thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to do something about this, you know. We got to do something about this. Our country is in a... How many times will we say this thing and you all will just perhaps on Facebook like what we say and post it up and say yes, it is true, and maybe you take sides and say it was Kamala's fault or perhaps Rowley's fault, and you go way back to Manning's fault when he had this meeting in not a Hyatt, and what's it, the other one down there on the Holiday, in a way you call it, Crown Plaza, Accord. And you might even go way back. Some people say the reason why the crime situation, we got Kamala stop corporal punishment in schools. Ladies and gentlemen, wow, we're in a mess and we need to do something about it. But we talk, you know, we are kind of armchair revolutionaries kind of thing. You know, we sit down and, you know, we type all our nice ideas and revolutionary thoughts and stuff. We don't practice these things. Just don't do them. We talk about change and we invite people to come out to march or to protest, and they just don't come, you know. See, is you alone, Frank? When you look back, is you alone, Frank? I once heard a man say something. I don't know if it is his original thoughts. It's good. It's his original thoughts. He said, whatever we can tolerate, we ain't gonna change. That's why I hate this word tolerance. Our, you know, discipline, tolerance, production. Tolerance, I don't like that one at all. I feel like trying to set me up. We are no discipline. We don't produce properly, and we're real tolerant. jamming we. They're jamming we, boy, because we tolerant. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to break the cycle. We gotta stop. We gotta do it differently, because doing the same thing the same way every time and expecting different results equals madness. It is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I could have been talking about this procurement and this boat stuff that took away the super fast glacier. Jesus Christ. And you know who took it away? It's Fitzgerald Swines. People think it's Ron Sinana. Fitzgerald Swines took it away. Don't forget that, ladies and gentlemen. And it was working, and they took it away. And what's happening now? They appointed some committee. I see Nari Alfonso, who is a professional and a knowledgeable individual in these matters. She's talking all sort of stuff this morning, and they're saying, oh, she's a UNC now, and I think, Jesus Christ, China, we're not easy, we're not easy. And that's why we are in the state that we are in today. And sometimes I wonder if, Donald Trump was really kind of talking about our country, kind of shithole kind of country. Some people might be angry at me for saying, it's not a problem. Sometimes you're angry at me for talking the truth. No problem with that. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to do something about it. And I've told you before, Trinidad and Tobago, in now start to rotten, we now start to smell stink. We got to break the cycle. We got to stop, and we got to change the way we're doing things. All right? Because we need change. We need change. All right? But we have some guests in studio tonight. We have 3 guests. Philip Alexander. We have Felicia Holder. And we have Miss Leamon Creaky. Mrs.
No, Miss.
Miss Leamon Creaky. All right? Janice.
Correct.
Janice Leamon Creaky. It's kind of taxing the old 50-year-old brain a little bit, all right? Of course, Philip Alexander is the former political leader, or maybe the resting political leader of the People's Empowerment Party and the Progressive Empowerment Party, and Felicia Holder is now the acting political leader. And Ms. Janice Leamon Creaky is the PR, the Public Relations Officer of the Progressive Empowerment Party.
Correct.
welcome to the studios. You all were here before,
Yes.
so you all are no strangers really. Welcome. We have a whole lot of stuff to talk about. We want to look at the just concluded local by-election just 1 week ago. Of course, Ms. Holder, Felicia Holder, was the candidate for Belmont East.
Yes,
And
correct.
we have a lot of stuff to talk about that. And we're going to get into other current matters that it's swirling around, and some people are very uncomfortable with some of the things that are being said, but we'll get to work and we're going to do whatever we have to do and say whatever we have to say. But I want it to be known that this radio station is not responsible for any statement that is said that is contrary to our policy. This show is not responsible. The callers, when we open the line, be very responsible. We're going to cut you off if ever you say something, and we are going to apologize if we think whatever you said is not true and is just speculation and we cannot verify it. We're going to apologize. All right, so we want a very solid and a very energetic show. We want vibes. We want truth. All right, we want facts, and we're going to deal with that. All right, so let's deal with Philip first. Let's talk to Philip first. Philip, you're taking some R&R, some rest and relax. No, you're not relaxing. You're just taking a little rest from the position of political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party. It's a party that some people refer to as more or less it has a greater online presence than Warm Bodies locally. You have built a party. I mean, Kamala Prasad Bisesa has not built a party. She inherited, and maybe she was part of the formation of it. I believe that, but to say as the leader building a party, I don't think she has had that privilege. Keith Rowley, Dr. Keith Rowley, he too, like Kamala Prasad Bisesa, inherited a political party and machine. You haven't done that. You have now, after this great loss to you in these elections, you decided to take a rest, a back seat, maybe advisory capacity, whatever. I disagree with it because I was really kind of surprised when I asked you the question the first time I interviewed you before the elections, and you said, you know, if you were to, lose the elections, you would perhaps resign. And I asked you, so what the people would ask you to stay on? And you said, well, I mean, I'm going to take a back seat. I disagree with it. I still disagree with it. I want you to know that up front, but I'm going to ask you now, what did you really expect? You expected to win, and because you didn't win, you say, well, what, you just gonna take a back seat? Why?
Right, well, that's a lot. Good evening, Garth. Good evening to Master Control. Good evening.
Good evening.
My beautiful guests, my PRO, our PRO, Janice, our acting political leader, Felicia. Good evening to all the loyal Power102 listeners and those following on my and your social media feeds. This little break that I'm taking is an opportunity for other members in the party to step up and experience leadership at the highest level. This is not me abandoning the party in any way. This is just literally a break, a little vacation. I've not had one. I've been doing this for about 10 years, non-stop. Besides the Progressive Empowerment Party, there's also the Jericho Project, and we've done a lot of work with the Jericho Project where the homeless, the orphans, the disabled are concerned. So it's been a long, hard road. But this last 18 months here, building this party, and you're right to say that they didn't have the privilege, they didn't have the pleasure, they didn't have the sleepless nights and the long weeks. These weeks have had 8 days, these days have had 25 hours. And none of them have had sleep in them. And it's been 18 grueling months. We've had to take inch by inch. We had to take it by force. We weren't given ground. They didn't make space. Even at the culmination of this election, instead of one of the newspapers taking the opportunity to congratulate the candidates, all who took part in the election and supported our democracy, they took a swipe at Felicia and Christophe and said they lost their deposits and the foolishness that passes for journalism. And sometimes you just need to take a little vacation. And that is what I was trying to do. And to those following me on social media right now that sees I have a beard, my PRO told me this morning that I look like a drunken sailor. I don't agree, and I'm going to take a picture later. I'm going to run a poll. Should I shave or should I grow? Because I want to... God, you've had a beard before, right? I mean, you've ever had a full beard?
Yeah.
I've never had the pleasure. And I keep trying, and then something comes up. So I say, I got a couple of weeks off here because Felicia's doing a masterful job. I mean, you have a powerful team. You know the crew is a big team, and they get the job done. So right now, it's all plotting. Well, that's what it was up to yesterday, and now you and I back in this thing again today. Because Trinidad is a country where if you take your eye off the game for a minute, you could miss stuff. Important stuff. Stuff like, and before I start, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank Stanley Augustus And I'd like to thank the owners of this radio station for having the balls, belly, and backbone to stand up to what I see as interference. And I'll leave it there. We have a situation in this country, God, you and I and Felicia and Janice and Kid Rowley and Kamala and Fitzgerald Hines and Coleman Burt and Stephen Cadiz and any politician that you could think of, past, present, and future. Once you step out and up in the public, it's easy for people to scandalize and defame and character assassinate you. The first way they silence you is to attack you personally. And they attack you personally so that the people who might be following you could be ridiculed and embarrassed out of following you, to kill your message.
But people accuse you of attacking people personally. They accuse you of attacking Keishan Haynes, they accuse you of attacking Kim Cole, so...
Sitting on a radio station, sitting on a television show, Janice was there. Mm-hmm. That was not an interview.
Right.
Kim Cole was taking information from a guy named Christian Hume, who my attorneys are still searching for, because they have a pre-action protocol with his name on it, and Kim Cole as well. But Kim Cole is the least of the people to be sued, because Kim Cole's producer had to put her up on Facebook. She bouncing checks all over the place. She had no money, so suing Kim Cole is like putting stone on job desk. But
I don't know that. We don't know that.
But this is in the public space.
Well,
but this is in the public space. But she will get her pre-action protocol letter. But at the end of the day, and the political parties know that when they're going to send people to discredit, scandalize, they're sending people where you have to think, is it worth my while to engage a lawyer to sue somebody who I may not even get costs back from? And there's a truth. And the point I wanted to make earlier, and I was coming to this, it's not about me. So, and what Keishan Haynes said, and I had to respond to Keishan Haynes because, and as Wayne Sturge, former senator, said, if you're a journalist, operate as a journalist. If you're a politician, operate as a politician. But if you're down in the Gael, pelting wood, take wood. Makes sense?
Why would people call you a racist for that for making that statement?
Because I'm not black enough. I'm not black enough. When I land in foreign jurisdictions of the more Caucasian variety, I'm black. In places where you're not white, you're black. So there is Hispanic black and black and Indian black and black. But we're all shades of black if we're not white. But in Trinidad, you have those who are blacker than everybody else could take umbrage at certain words that they themselves could use without a problem.
Do you think
no, but I want to finish answering
Do you
this.
think we are ready in this country to deal with the issue of race?
Whether or not we're ready or not, we have to confront that bogey. We're not getting past the corruption of the PNM and the UNC without dealing with the issue that divides the nation. I keep saying, when David Rudder said, how we vote is not how we party, he wasn't complimenting us. I was not complimenting.
No, we have another stuff to talk about. Earlier on,
but I was getting somewhere with this, and I just want to say this. I was the communications advisor for a Minister of National Security. So I know certain things. So when I saw on the front page that it appeared that that former minister was supposed to get the nod from this government to be commissioner of police, I got upset. Not because I did not think that Gary Griffith could do a good job or not. My upset has nothing to do with Gary Griffith's competence and everything to do with this culture of defamation, scandalization, character assassination, and libel. On May 20th, 2013.
Philip, before we get into that, we have a 2-hour show here, all right? We are going to get into that. We're definitely going to get into that because that's a current issue. And I want us to deal with some of your party issues.
If we could.
Yes, we can.
If we could, and I'd ask you this, because there's a reason I asked Janice and Felicia to join us, and that is, I'd like them to get in depth with that.
Sure.
But I know, because I finished in the gym, there are days
Time for gym?
I had to make a time for gym.
Yeah.
And there are days when you come out of the gym and you find your phone and it's lit up like a Christmas tree and you know that something's going on. There are a lot of people tuned into this show right now, God. And you and I are here tonight because you and I find ourselves on the same side of an issue where the matter is concerned. So I want to ask you if you would allow us to prosecute this, and then you could have these two lovely ladies take you through the ups and downs and sideways of local politics and the Progressive Empowerment Party. But as your judgment call to make.
Right. I want us to have some more time to deal with that. And we'll deal with that in a little bit. But I really want to deal a little bit with...
Keep them waiting.
Yes.
That audience building. But that's a critical mass, you know.
Yes.
That's a critical mass.
You mentioned earlier that the media took the time to speak about who lose their deposits and stuff like that. What is wrong with that?
What's wrong with that is in real first world countries that we pretend to model ourselves after, all political parties are entitled to something called equal time. The media is not allowed to swipe at other political parties to the benefit of others, because that could be proven as party support. And all party support is quantified, and all quantified values are put together under the heading Costa campaign. And they have limits to what they could spend. So if Fox News or MSNBC comes out and endorses a candidate, then the FCC and the Electoral Commission will arrive at a value for that endorsement and tell the candidate that benefited from it. Fox or MSNBC just made a $250,000 donation to your campaign. And as you have a limit of $300,000, you only have $50,000 left to spend. And that's how it's supposed to work.
We are not there.
But we're supposed to be there, and we've been talking.
Yeah, but we're not fighting for
No,
that.
but we are.
Not talking
we
about
talk
that.
about that at campaign time.
Yeah, but
we talk about it at election time when people talk
When
about
not-
campaign finance legislation. We hear this statement
Philip, we're
made by
talking about
politicians.
these issues.
Yeah, but God, we hear politicians say campaign finance reform, and nobody knows what the hell they're talking about.
Okay, fine. Therefore, we need a campaign to deal with campaign finance reform.
Yes, but you've gone
Not
home.
just to
No,
voice it. You need to organize a campaign
you're
to
correct.
deal with campaign finance reform.
You're correct,
And
but-
that is not happening.
But you're correct, but you've gone home from the grocery, you parked your car, you're walking inside, you have 7 grocery bags in your hands because men don't like to make 2 trips. And you open the door to find there's a rattlesnake in the house, a burglar coming through a window, and the kitchen is on fire. So you deal with it in order of preference and urgency. So you and I would like to deal with the issue of campaign.
Let me hear these ladies. A rattlesnake in the kitchen. A burglar coming and the kitchen on fire. Tell me.
Things come up.
Felicia, hold on. What do you attack first?
I would find some way to blow up the house and kill the rattlesnake and the burglar. Seriously.
And the house is on fire.
Exactly.
And they should run outside and lock the door and leave them inside.
Exactly. Find some way to make the flames kill all of them. 'Cause
You're
I'm
What about
not dealing with
What about you, Janice?
Well, I think I would probably try to get the fire out first. Because even if the burglar comes in, he will end up getting overcome by the smoke himself. right? So I would try to deal with the fire, then deal with the burglar, then deal with the rest. Because I'm not leaving my house to burn.
God, you're a brilliant host. You took my analogy and you made it a question. I like that. All right, I will be giving you no more analogies tonight. Sir. I'll be answering you straight on.
Okay, but
The truth of the matter is, God, that you know and I know that we do not have the institutions of state. Take, for example, the procurement regulator. The procurement regulator, you spoke about the Superfast Glacier and the Galleons Passage. Someone wrote the procurement regulator and asked for an investigation into the purchase of the Galleons Passage. And it's in the media today that the procurement regulator, a fellow by the name of Motilal Lalchan, I think is his name, responded that while there is an office of the procurement regulator and there is a procurement regulation act, the relevant chapters that deal with investigation have not been proclaimed. So he can't do
that is not strange.
nothing.
That is not strange to me.
No,
Why is that strange to you?
but God,
It's not
I am in a
strange to
situation
me.
where every single day people come to me with information and there is nobody to take that information to. There used to be the idea that before social media, if you're not in the PNM or you're not in the UNC and you don't have corn to feed fowl, there you go. You can't bring up the issue. Without your podium, your soapbox here, without social media, a lot of the work that you do, people wouldn't know. People wouldn't know.
Philip, we're talking about
I'll bring everything back to that issue, you know.
the elections and some people were knocking your candidates and your party for not gathering enough votes and losing their deposits, and I asked you, what is wrong with that?
Nothing is wrong with that, but that same editorial in that same Newsday newspaper that's biased to the PNM was supposed to say that Keith Rowley lost in Tobago twice before Keith Rowley found himself leaving Mason Hall. So even though he wrote a book from Mason Hall to Whitehall, and he's never sat in Whitehall, even the name of the book is a lie. But he left Mason Hall because he couldn't win in Tobago. He had to come and sit in a HDC voter party gerrymandered Diego Martin West to win an election. This is not real democracy. This is not real electoral politics. And the fact, and I want to say this, that an 18-month-old party suffering under a media blackout, to many of the people in Belmont and Barataria, this was the first time, and I said it to them in a meeting. If somebody walk up to you today and tell you there's an election and there's a new party named ZIP, and this is John Smith, he leads ZIP, vote for Smith and ZIP, but you've never heard of either, it'll take a leap of faith for you to vote for ZIP and John Smith. Felicia Holder and Christoph Samlal and the machinery of the Progressive Empowerment Party in 3 weeks were able to not only bring out the other parties to fight this local government election like a national election, but they got votes. And it was a credible showing. No, they didn't win any districts, but Felicia won a district. The number that she got was higher than the UNC got last local government election. You take your victories where you get them, two of them. You take your victories where you find them. The party is 18 months old to many of those people.
Whose fault is it that people, maybe your candidates weren't more known? Perhaps it's yours and your party's fault. Because you chose not to erect banners, you chose not to erect posters, and stuff like that.
People don't buy new information on posters and banners. You walk into the grocery and you see posters and banners, and advertising and communication is what.
You didn't even do some flags for some
No.
households. You didn't even do some of their garden,
But I want to explain it to you. I want to explain to you why. Advertising and communication is what I do. You use things like banners and posters to reinforce existing brands. But you can't put up a poster with a name that people don't know or unfamiliar with and expect that poster to do something for you. But more importantly, we have an environment policy.
You didn't do a radio ad. Did you do a radio ad?
We put all of our money into the community. Everything that we did From the day the election bell was rung.
What do you mean by you put all your money in the community? You went and give out money?
No, we did all of our events. We did public meetings to launch. We did walkabouts every single day. We had microphone cars talking policy.
Then you need financing.
And then we did, no wait, before you go there. Then we did, at the end of the campaign, we did 2 thank you events, one in Belmont and one in Barataria. And they were all well received. Yes, we could have found ourselves some deep pocket finances and put 40-foot carnival containers like PNM did. But that is not what an election is supposed to be. An election, Garth, and you and I, we know this for a fact. An election is supposed to be Felicia talking to the people who want a representative. She is there as their representative. They are supposed to ask her a question. I in the nuts business. I hear a man ask her, I in the nuts business. What are you doing for me?
That's
and
I'm thinking part of the campaign.
God,
but then another part of the campaign is advertising.
Prior to that moment, I am sure Felicia never had to think about the nuts
industry.
industry.
Somebody told me something many years ago, and it is a fact. Advertising causes you goods to sell. Advertising causes your goods.
In the marketing life
sell.
cycle, advertising is step 2. Step 1 is selling it in. You need to sell it in.
When you're selling it in, you use step 1.
But,
you use step 2
and
as
I
well.
want to tell you this. You need to sell it into the grocery, and then your job is to advertise it to make the consumers choose it to sell it out. So that's when advertising works. Because advertising is supposed to present the most persuasive selling message for the product to the right prospect at the lowest possible price.
Well, you had 2 great candidates.
I had 2 very good candidates.
So, I mean,
but we chose to use a campaign of get to know them.
Did you use the wrong strategy?
I don't think so.
So then why didn't you yield the results?
Because
you were expecting. I mean, you remember.
Because the party.
You were expecting.
You know, it was a win to us.
You were expecting a particular result.
Yes, and you know what that was?
And you did not.
Not at all. You think that we went in there thinking that we had a chance of unseating 2 established political organizations decades there in a racist environment?
So when you're telling the people then that we will win, then you were what? Just playing with the people's heads?
Both fighters step into a ring believing they have a chance to win, and the way you say it, you speak truth to yourself, you empower yourself, and that's what we do. We have all the faith that we do all the things that are necessary to win a campaign. Trinidad and Tobago, at the government level, in the parliament, there is not one candidate in the parliament that could debate Felicia. And I want to say that because Felicia Holder is not just a district. She's not just Belmont East. We could put Felicia Holder inside the parliament, and she could go toe-to-toe with many of them who shouldn't be there at all. She is, and I don't have to say this, and we have a lot of people like her in this party who are critical thinkers, civic-minded, patriotic, driven for a better Trinidad and Tobago, working to build a party that has more plans, programs, policies, and ideas than all the other parties collectively.
Philip, you can say many things about that, right? But let me just deal with this issue. Let's be real. There are some people who are saying that the reason why the candidates did not get an increased number of votes is not that the people had some issues with your candidates, but they had issues with you.
Well, we will see that now. Because me stepping aside and taking a break because you think that that's not a good idea, but now they have Felicia Holder as the acting political leader, and we have an election coming up, and I've still not yet decided if post this break that I'll be throwing my hat in the ring. So they have an opportunity now. But if the powers that be behind the political parties think that that means that I will go quiet, what it does is it takes a lot of responsibility off of me, and it frees me up to talk a lot more. And that is why today, Rhea Tate in the Express didn't think to check 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, Faris Al-Rawi was telling the nation that Emailgate was fact. That there is substance to Emailgate. Emailgate is 4 people. Suraj Rambachan, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Anand Ramlogan, and Gary Griffith. If Faris, when you have a house that have 4 columns and you take one out, the other 3 fall.
See that they can't wait for us to get into that.
No.
Let's get it.
No. I just giving you this as an answer. Because the truth of the matter is, and you have to always come back to this. If Faris Al-Rawi was saying last year that Emailgate was factual, that there was substance to the allegations made in the parliament, how then does a candidate, does a person named by the then opposition leader and called the worst names? Keith Rowley accused Gary Griffith. It is in the Hansard. Keith Rowley said, Gary Griffith said that he will deal with matters and put misinformation in the public space on Denise Wren, and will get the SSA to bug and illegally wiretap the DPP's office. Keith Rowley, the current Prime Minister, said then that these things were done.
Yeah, but Philip.
Just now wait, and you have to hear this.
But
If Faris Al-Rawi could say...
Why are we talking about Gary Griffith today, tonight, when Gary Griffith was never even mentioned as a candidate for the position?
You see, that's a different question. I want to tell you something. And I want to say again, I believe Gary Griffith would make a good commissioner of police, but not under these circumstances. So regardless of how...
Do you know?
And I need to say this. Regardless of how Gary feels about what I am saying tonight, I have no problem with that. Because my country is more important than any friend or family. And I want to say this. The reason we are addressing this matter is I think of all the police officers in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. You see, we've had politicians say all of them rogue and corrupt. But I know a lot of good and decent men and women in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service putting on their clothes every morning or every evening and going and put their lives on the line for Trinidad and Tobago. And it is unfair to them that we could end up with a commissioner of police that the current Prime Minister accused of misbehavior in public office, of conspiracy to destabilize the justice system, and to possibly commit murder.
Listen to me. There is nothing strange about that, because they accuse each other.
That's not the same thing.
They accuse each other of stealing.
When was the last time you heard somebody accuse somebody of...
But look,
brother man, no. Corruption.
Look, Rowley accused Kamala and Monilal and Rambachan of the same thing that they accused Gary Griffith of.
None of them running for commissioner of police.
Not commissioner of police, but they are in the parliament and they are colleagues.
No, there's a separation of powers. There's a separation of powers.
They are colleagues.
What we are about to do.
And they sit and they have meetings together. Look, Kamala and they were accused. Monilal, where's the case?
Monilal wasn't accused. 4 people were accused.
Monilal was part of it, my friend.
4 people were accused. He read out 4 email addresses. 5. He gave Anan 2. Anan at Gmail and Anan at tstT.net.tt. And I have read the Hansard account from May 20th, 2013, over and over and over, to the point where I am trying to understand what exactly Keith Rowley thought he was doing. In a real country, you cannot have an opposition leader be given information that alludes, that alleges that the highest office holders in the land, the Prime Minister, her Attorney General, the only 2 positions we need for a cabinet, you know. You don't need no other minister, you know. By our constitution, you only need 2. The Prime Minister and the Attorney General, her National Security Advisor, and I don't know what Suruj was doing in that. But those 3 offices, you hold a document that you said that you believe to be credible, but you hold it for 6 months. And one of the things that it alludes and accuses and alleges is that those 3 office holders have a plan to kill Denise Wren, to commit murder. And that is a serious issue. For the time that Keith Rowley sat on that for 6 months, in any other civilized nation in the world, he would have been charged with depraved indifference to human life.
Do you know, if Gary Griffith's name wasn't bandied about, that he perhaps is fourth in line to become the commissioner, and he may be the choice of the government, and most likely will be approved by the opposition, do you know we would not have been talking about the email scandal today, and we would not have been so vociferous
snake fire burglar,
about it.
Snake fire burglar, snake fire burglar.
We would not
something new come in the house.
My point is, Philip, and
Rhea Tate's article in the Express
guests,
put an article on the front page, and they came back today.
This is going to die down.
God, I want to tell you something.
It is going to.
There's a separation of powers. I want to tell you this.
I understand
what took place on the 20th of May 2013, I may not have the political office to deal with it as yet, but there is no statute of limitations for treason. And somebody needs to investigate email
Philip,
gate.
we talk tonight, we talk tomorrow.
I thought that driving here. I thought that driving here listening to Nafisa Mohammed. Nafisa Mohammed come from a royal family in the PNM. To hear her and Fazir.
But
I listen to Fazir.
Is talking, and she's a,
all right.
she will still take that insult from Auntie Jane,
and I am driving,
and she will be a strong PNM until she dies,
my brother,
and will continue with
bringing
out the machine.
But I am not.
Sure,
I'm
not
driving
you.
here.
My point
and
is,
driving here, all I'm thinking is, as you say it,
my point
what is the point?
My point is, we as citizens,
we do business.
We talk,
we
do
business. We do business, okay.
It is time.
But maybe,
it is time.
Maybe shows like this, maybe movements like this, maybe people like you, Garth.
It is time for us to break the damn cycle. One of the cycles is talking, and never acting. We do not act. You feel standing up.
All it takes.
Come on, man.
All it takes is one prick to pop a balloon. The French monarchy.
But you know what it takes? You know what it takes to burst a stone wall? Several hammering
all it took,
chisel.
All it took to turn public disaffection into revolution in France was Marie Antoinette not understanding the suffering of the people. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we need a revolution of the heart and the mind. We need to get to a place where we see each other as brother and sister. And this is not soft talk. This is the real violence here. Because until we can get past the racism and the classism and the religion separations and all of the divisions that make us so easy to manipulate, we will then be able to start asking questions about how did you pick up $3 million that you are not authorized to spend and spent it on a man's medical bill who is not entitled to receive it? There are criminal acts. Nafisa said tonight, we have 3 attorney generals.
These things are not going to stop,
but you
Philip.
talk about
they are going to continue unless and until we hit the damn streets.
The day
not just for a day,
the day I believe,
but for days and for weeks and for months until we see results. It is not going to happen.
The day I believe that it cannot fix, I'll down tools.
It's not that it is not. Don't get me wrong. It is not that our situation cannot be fixed. It can be fixed, else I would not be here.
People drove to Diego Martin.
What we need to do is to hit the streets.
It's not just hitting the streets. You have to have a plan. And I keep telling people,
well, you're brilliant at planning. I am a brilliant planner.
Then let's get together.
But then what we got to do is to plan and hit the streets.
God, I look at social media and I monitor. We do something called media monitoring. We monitor all media for our clients. And every time the government is live, from parliament, from cabinet, from wherever, the numbers are so infinitesimally small it shows a complete lack of interest.
Well, look,
in
I only have
anything.
27 people on my live
You
now.
can't only have 27.
I'm telling you.
Man, I watched some of the numbers you
I
get on
have
your videos.
27 people
the
on
last
my
video, you had
live.
about 10,000 people after views. It ought to be right now.
No, but I have 27 people on there. These people are there. Watch me. If 27 people on my live right now, you must have about 200 or 300 and something people on their live, right? 27 people on my live. What you feel if we call a protest? You feel, Philip,
God.
Philip, let me tell you something, buddy.
I understand what you're saying,
Let me tell
and
you
you're being deliberately obtuse, and you're being sarcastic to make a point. And in case people not getting it, I'm saying to them, I get what you're doing, and I want you to hear this though. I do this 24/7. There was a time to get home to Diego Martin, you had to drive for 3 hours. Janice could tell you, she lives Diego Martin. From 4 o'clock in the evening, traffic started from Movie Town. And you had to use every side street and every back street. I came up with a plan to fix the traffic in Diego Martin, the 4 roads bypass, and it worked. I got a government to listen, and they did it. And it worked. And the people no longer have to sit in traffic for 4 hours. We don't have to be chuck up in every side street in Woodbrook and St. James. When you go to Massey and the malls, and you see those blue handicap parking spaces, that took a lot of fight to get. There's no law in Trinidad. There's no town and country rule that says you have to do it. But what I knew was, all I needed to get was enough people doing it that other people building public buildings would see it and think that it is law. So I had to manipulate the narrative. We still don't have a handicap parking spaces law in this country. But I was able to get that done. I was able to get subventions.
Philip,
do you know prior?
People,
No, but God.
Philip, these, fine, you're able to get those things.
You get
but
things
to
done.
break this system. You see, the differently abled community would get sympathy from the people. We are going, or we have moved into an age where people are more aware and more conscious.
Social media.
All right, of the needs.
Social media.
And the rights of the differently abled.
Yes, social
So
media.
therefore, an issue like that will not be so difficult as it was many
No, but
years
Akil Chambers,
before. So
Akil
it's
Chambers
good.
Justice for Children March. The first year we had about 1,500 people. The second year we had 3,000 people. The third year we had 25,000 people.
Philip, we
And
need
those
constitutional
25,000
reform
people,
in this country.
That's
what we need.
People bandy that about. I want to tell you something. When the United States Constitution was written, people of African descent were considered 3/5 of a person. You understand that?
So don't you think?
Just now wait. No. I want to finish these sentences. When the United States Constitution was written, people of African descent were considered 3/5 of a person. It took an amendment to the Constitution to free the slaves. It took an amendment to the Constitution to give black people civil rights. It took an amendment to the Constitution after Susan B. Anthony and the suffragette movement to give women rights.
We need to take a break.
You're listening to Power 102.
Final. It's the final extension of Babylon Expo.
You're not letting us have.
Emancipation Day.
You take us out of that commissioner police thing again. And I find my way back. I catch him with his Zeppo. Not at all.
It's not.
Not at all.
Yeah.
When Dwayne gives, and I want to say this on air, when Jack Warner, look at it, listen to that. When Jack Warner went to Gibbs and Iwatsky and say we are paying you all off, Gibbs says sign the check. They frustrate the crap out of Gibbs and Iwatsky. Gary Griffith is not going to be able to get anything done if the divisions inside the police service decide to frustrate him. Gary is not the one to wake up in the morning with the precept and the gun to go down, beat them, Lavantil, Silots, Charlotte Street, East Port of Spain, Embacade and Enterprise, you know. It's police officers. Yeah. And if they decide that they're not following him, he can't do nothing.
Yeah, but remember, he has powers now to discipline them.
Not at all.
Yes,
not at all. The police service commission, not at all. He could fire inspectors above. And even that will cause him problems. And even that will frustrate them in the court.
Who you would like to be police commissioner, right?
Gary Griffith.
Well, fix
But
that.
not
No,
this
but
way.
not under this condition.
Not this way. You're not
No.
understanding what I'm saying.
You see, David, the email gate scandal still has not been
It tarnished the
resolved.
man's name.
And even though it tarnishes him, it still has not been resolved, and he is part of it.
You cannot.
So how
you
could
cannot,
he become?
You cannot go to the police
Tainted.
officers and tell them, this is our nominee for commissioner, your boss, that we also accused of treason, misbehavior in public office, conspiracy to commit murder and to destabilize the justice system.
Now the police can say, but our report is we see nothing. But Joan on a report, the deputy DPP, what does she have those? What is she hogging them up for?
She is the first time I see a DPP jump out herself and give a report to the nation about a matter being investigated. I have never seen that before by the DPP. And we need more of that. But the point I'm trying to make is Emailgate went to the heart of this country and cut it bad with a rusty blade. We need to clear that up. You cannot nominate Gary Griffith if you accused him of treason.
You can't, David. As much
You
as-
have to clear that up, and I want to tell you
I
this.
have.
And this is Keith Rowley's conundrum this morning. Tonight. This is a Gordian knot for them. Now that we are raising this issue, because if Keith Rowley retracts and say it was a lie,
then he will be accused
he
of being
guilty
a
of,
liar.
not just that, he would be guilty of attempting to overthrow a democratically
That's
elected
treason.
government by trick. That is treason.
That is treason.
Hold on.
You have to understand
Well,
it.
nominate me for police commissioner.
You have to understand it.
I want to be like the two good kids.
You no, you ain't getting up. Now you're sleeping late.
But I get one of them, I want car. And I'm going to be, but I want a police.
We need a system that separates the police commissioner from the government entirely. We need a police commissioner that's not beholden to any politician, so that the police commissioner could charge and investigate and prosecute politicians. We should have a system where after the top 5 people names make the list, that 20 people want to be commissioner, and you hire KPMG or whoever to crunch the numbers, and you get the top 5, put it to a vote, a national vote. Let the people of Trinidad and Tobago vote. If Gary Griffith was voted Commissioner of Police by the people, he could investigate and charge Rowley. And let me tell you something, Emailgate needs to be properly investigated. It cannot go away. You cannot traumatize this nation.
Why he would choose Gary Griffith? You don't know that? What you say there?
And that's my question. My question is, what changed? What changed?
Something changed.
What changed?
In 2008, 10 years ago. Today in
God, they wanna let me talk that, you know.
Many of the political issues facing the country.
I am being very careful, but you're seeing how careful I'm being.
Focus, as we place the focus all day on crime in TNT and government's new National Crime Prevention Program, NCPP.
I like Gary Griffith as a person. Gary's my friend.
What can
Yeah, but
citizens expect?
I
How
have
effective
showed
will it
many
be?
times
News Power 102
said that Gary
influence
Griffith
all
will
day.
be, to
Wednesday,
me, the
25th July,
best
with
person
special
to find
guest
the
in
crime.
studio.
Of what we have now, yeah. But under this circumstance, if he becomes commissioner, appointed by people who accused him of these serious crimes, what are the police officers below him supposed to think?
In Focus, this Wednesday.
That is the question. That is the crux of the matter.
Power 102 FM. This is Power 102. Empowering you.
This is Breaking the Cycle. We continue.
Yes, welcome back.
I was
And of
making a
course,
point.
let me just reintroduce my guests. We have in studio, for those of you who are now joining us, and we're going to get you in onto the conversation in a little while. It is now 10 minutes after 8 o'clock. We're going until 9 o'clock. And in the studio is the former political leader, well, not former, the resting political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Mr. Philip Alexander, and we have the acting political leader, Miss Felicia Hula, who was the candidate for
The
Belmont.
charming and beautiful Felicia Hula. Don't you know you want to say it? Don't you know you want to say it? You're holding back. Don't you know it? The same.
And Miss Janice Aliamon Cricky, all right? The PRO of the Progressive Empowerment Party. And of course, we were dealing earlier on with
You break me in mid-sentence. And I wanted to make a point, and I want to finish the point.
Yeah, but you will get a chance to finish the point. It's not a problem, all right? We have some time.
You asked a question about constitution reform.
Yes, and
I was trying to explain to you that amendments is how you do it. The United States Bill of Rights is an amendment to the Constitution. Do you understand that? Our Constitution is like this table. It's like this table has microphones, a bottle, an iPad. It is just the platform from which you build.
And the whole damn platform or foundation is not good.
Have you read our Constitution?
You're going to ask me if I read our Constitution?
Whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago affirm. That's how it starts.
Right, go ahead.
Before the Constitution sees or recognizes Prime Minister, President, or police, it recognizes the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is the reason why I say our Constitution is a safe and proper document upon which to build. We are not in a position. You could imagine this country.
Philip,
look at what Prakash...
Philip, not our Constitution is a proper document upon which to build a constitution.
You know which country?
Not our Constitution.
Okay. Have you you know what I would like to invite you to do? Read the South Africa Constitution.
I don't want to read that right
South
now.
Africa,
I want to deal with Trinidad and Tobago's partner.
They are going to tie you up like a market crab. They are going to tell you that the Constitution not good. And you know, from the moment you start to interfere with the Constitution, you have to write bridge laws. Listen, there are matters before the court. And these people have long brain. When you see the road,
you don't amend this constitution. You amend certain pieces of legislation.
Have you ever heard in the United States of America?
Philip, the very way. Listen,
do you know what the Miranda?
Our head of state supposed to be apolitical. Our president, but he's a political creature.
We do not need a president.
Well, there we go.
We do, but that is an amendment.
That is not an amendment.
But you could amend that. All right. Okay.
You need electoral reform for that.
Okay. Well, agree. Agree to disagree. I want you to understand. A person named Miranda was arrested in the United States and beaten until he confessed. And since then, there's been an amendment written to the Constitution called the Miranda Rights. When they arrest a person, they say you have the right to remain silent.
Okay.
You have the right. What
part of our Constitution are we going to amend to include the right to recall? Which part of our Constitution? Which section of our Constitution?
The Representation of the People's Act is what you amend.
That's local government.
No,
the representation of the people.
No, sir. The Municipal Corporation Act is local government. Representation of the People Act is the way and the means by which you get elected to public office. And that is what needs, all it needs is a next clause that says how you get fired. Every club, every all-force club and rugby club have a clause how you join, and how you get expelled.
There are too many issues. There are too many shortcomings of our Constitution to simply say amendment.
But you're not wrong.
You need to reform the whole damn thing.
Yes, my friend.
You need to put it.
But the problem
is, where are you going to act? Where are you going to include referendum?
You see how you just brought up the Municipal Corporation Act? It replaced the County Council Act. And the County Council Act, for the Municipal Corporation Act to replace the County Council Act, you had to build so many bridge laws inside of there, and you still have to go and amend. There are matters before the courts right now that speak to or from or through existing laws of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago that are based on our Constitution. If you pull the legs out from under them, those cases will collapse. Those precedents will change. You have to be very careful what you do, and I'm telling you this. Even though it sounds like a clunky exercise, what you need to do is identify the things. You see how you know recall is important?
Listen, the Chief Justice,
I thought Robert Amar liked to argue, but you must.
No, because I'm sure what I'm saying.
But let me finish
Let
me finish this, please.
Yeah, but next time, if I ask you the time, don't tell me how to make a watch.
I hear you, my friend, but I want to, you see, it sounds like that. But you know, recall is important. You need to be, if you could hire a member of parliament, you should be able to fire them. you know that campaign finance needs to be properly governed. It needs to be properly set in place, equal time for all candidates, that you need the media hands off. And
then you don't need to amend what we have. You need to get rid of the damn thing, because what we have is nothing good.
There are cases before local and international courts that if you pull the Constitution out from under them, you still have to build bridges back to them or they collapse. Do you understand that?
Nobody is saying that you'll be working without a constitution. They're building a better constitution. That's
yes,
what
but
doing.
they are based on this constitution.
Listen.
And I see you don't want to give up that point, but that is an important point.
Okay,
did you see what Prakash Ramadar did under the People's Partnership government? Prakash Ramadar toured the country for about 4 years and asked everybody, if we making a potapilla, where you wanted it? Because that's what they did. You ask everybody. Leadership doesn't ask people those questions. Abraham Lincoln says leadership understands where people need to go, not where they want to be. I will never stop quoting Henry Ford, who said, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. But Henry Ford gave the people the car.
Okay, Merle Hodge spoke about, they did not sit down and talk about the runoff. If you look at it, the population said, there's a Trojan horse. Kamala and them want to win the elections. You just heard what Henry Ford said. That is not all the time.
She was right. Merle Hodge was right.
But
I was totally against the runoff.
You see,
that was consolidation of power.
Contradictions.
No, not at all.
But I'm telling you,
not at all.
There are contradictions.
And this is
because we need. Okay, why is the PNM? Why is runoff good for the PNM leadership, but it's not good in an election?
Because the PNM is not a democratic organization. You cannot have Stuart Young.
The PNM is not a democratic.
No, Stuart Young, Justin Phelps, Faris Al-Rawi. These people parachuted up at the top of the PNM that had nothing to do.
So runoff is not a democratic means?
It is worse. It is the most undemocratic tool you could put.
So how could you say that you're democratic is by democracy by the majority?
No, a runoff is death to all third, fourth, fifth, and we need hundreds of people stepping up. What we need in this country, and Garth, and I tell you this, you're so spot on, but I want to tell you the one thing that will help you with what you're trying to do. The first amendment we need, before we do anything else, is referendum. And a referendum on all those issues, you put it to the people, and you let the plus side and the negative side make their case to the people, and you let the people vote. And what the people vote, that instructs the parliament. The parliament don't get to debate what they vote, you know. The people said, we want capital punishment. We don't want abortion. We do not want the CCJ. You put these matters to the people in a referendum of what the people think. And that is the first and most important amendment we need. We need recall to be able to fire non-performing. La Hoqueta Talparo need to be able to fire Maxi Coffee tonight. They've been without representation since September.
You can't tell me we want to make callaloo and what we need is a hot pepper. You need all the ingredients.
Absolutely. You're right.
At the same time.
Absolutely.
So don't tell me you need referendum only.
But I just know what I just told you.
That's the first thing we need.
That's the pot. The pot and the fire. Because all the bhaji leaf you bring and all the okra leaf you bring and
you have the pot and you have no fire. Wait, come on now, man.
You see, he like to take my analogy. No. And then you want to ask Janice, when last you make callaloo and where you putting it?
We need primary elections in this country. We need the people to decide on which PEP candidate they want to represent them in Belmont. Or let's say in Lavantelis-Mova. Let's say Lavantelis. We need the people, the PEP members who live in Lavantelis-Mova to decide whether they want David McIntyre.
How could you say that to me when that is how we run our party?
Okay.
But Nylon Hippolyte, who got 12 out of the 15 party groups in Laventille West was turned down by Keith Rowley and Fitzgerald
This is
Hines.
not just an amendment.
Fitzgerald Hines.
This is serious
Nobody
fundamental
in Laventille West
Exactly.
wanted Fitzgerald Hines. They
Those are the things we need.
wanted Nylon Hippolyte. But the PNM...
And when the people put them there, and we have the right to recall them, then
Robert
we're
Amar
starting to do something.
will ask you this question. Who will do that?
We have to do it.
But the 41 people in the parliament, you think they will vote
Not
themselves?
them.
You think they will vote for taxes on
That
the
is what
cars?
I'm saying. We keep talking about this on air now.
But my friend,
listen, I guarantee you.
But my friend,
there is no way this thing is going to happen.
This is still a democracy.
There is no way.
This is still a democracy.
There is no way.
And the only
we are going to see change unless we hit the street. I guarantee you that.
But I agree with you.
I guarantee you that.
I fight for the things that matter to me. Every time Faris
So does
Al-Rawi...
the Constitution reflect
Absolutely. But again, snake, fire, burglar. I have to look at what is the most pressing issue right now. If today I do not stand up and ring an alarm bell and say that the man who accused Gary Griffith of misbehavior in public office, of treason, of conspiracy to commit murder, is about to nominate him as Commissioner of Police, and I have to think...
That's because we do not have a proper constitution. So to just stand up now and say, here what? If Gary Griffith is fourth in line and he's to be nominated, he is a government's choice now, and he's accused by then opposition leader, it just cannot be right. And we stay right there and not propose constitution reform.
This is an irreconcilable. This particular issue.
Then we will reach nowhere.
This particular issue confounds even that. This is an irreconcilable position. This is one man calling another the worst names, accusing him of the worst crimes, and then nominating him for Commissioner of Police. How does that exist in one head?
And all we do it's easy.
How does it exist in one head?
It's easy to exist in their head and in their supporters' head. You know why? Because there is no law. There is no constitution.
Will you let me ask you one question?
There is no constitution that tells them they cannot do it or forbid them from doing it.
Will you let me ask you one question?
Sure, go right ahead.
On May 20th, 2013, Keith Rowley read into the Hansard allegations and accusations purporting that Gary Griffith, among others, conspired to destabilize the justice system in Trinidad and Tobago, to illegally wiretap and spy on the Director of Public Prosecutions, to use the Chief Justice, Ivor Archie, to promote the DPP to a judgeship so they could put their man inside of there. They talked about conspiracy to scandalize and defame Denise Wren. They added things to her file. All of this Keith Rowley said about Gary Griffith. And that was 2013. This is 2018. That's 5 years. Almost 5 years to the day. And for all the 5 years that have passed, the Attorney General, the chief steward of all the laws that come out of the PNM, has been saying that Emailgate is correct, that Keith Rowley was not wrong, that this is fact and there is substance. I want to ask you one question, Garth Christopher. If you think that the man conspired to destabilize the justice system of the country, that he is capable of treason, misbehavior in public office, and conspiracy to murder, how are you justifying now nominating him for Commissioner of Police? Just now wait, this is the question. What changed?
I can't answer what changed. What I can answer is that it's a contradiction.
What changed?
To me, it's a contradiction.
What changed? What changed in Keith Rowley's head that moved that piece on the board that Gary Griffith is capable of these things? He is one of four that is capable of treason, misbehavior in public office, conspiracy to murder and defraud and defame, and to illegally wiretap the DPP's office. That he said that he quoted Gary Griffith's words. What changed in Keith Rowley's mind that said also this man could be Commissioner of Police?
I can't answer what changed in his mind.
Is it incumbent on Gary Griffith to refuse that nomination because it's Keith Rowley. Because Keith Rowley has defamed and scandalized him and destroyed his character. Isn't it incumbent on Gary Griffith to do that? But forget that.
We shall see.
Because this is a country.
We shall see what is going to happen. We shall see what is going to happen.
God, Christopher, you know the people don't have in this country? The people have never had real leadership. We've had a lot of stunting, but we've never had real leadership. Now I want you to hear me.
What is real leadership?
Real leadership is being able to wake up this morning and know that as much as Gary Griffith and his wife Nicole Dyer are my friends, the country and the stability of my country is more important and demands my voice.
But that is not going to
regardless
the country. Look how much shit going in this country, and the country is still running nice, and
when Gibbs
still.
When Gibbs,
gentlemen, can I ask you a question? What about this merit list that Gary's name is like fourth position? So they've gone to the first three. Wasn't that taken into consideration?
This is a stunt. The entire thing was a stunt. Julal Chan, all of it was a stunt. They needed to throw some racism, some classism, some foolism. They always had a plan. These people have long brain. They're playing chess, not checkers. They had a plan. But my question is, and I'm not going to stop asking this question, and I'm outside the Prime Minister's office tomorrow calling for him to be fired. Because I want to know what changed. You cannot appoint to the office of Commissioner of Police a man that you accused of misbehavior in public office, conspiracy to commit treason, and to destabilize the justice system of a country. You cannot do that.
So the merit list is totally
Keith Rowley, for him to nominate Gary Griffith, Keith Rowley has to admit that Emailgate was a fabrication and a lie. And the moment Keith Rowley admits that, the Director of Public Prosecution has to instruct Stephen Williams to charge Keith Rowley for the attempted overthrow of a democratically elected government by trick.
But it has happened already.
It is still an ongoing. It's still an ongoing conspiracy. It's an ongoing conspiracy.
The American Justice Department, I think is what it is called, stated that declared certain people. Google said it's not there.
Do you know there are matters from Watergate that still attract the attention of the United States Justice Department? These people, they're like a pit bull. When they bite down on something, they don't let
Google said it's not, but Google.
There was no substance to it.
There.
So okay.
And it is,
so okay. So you know what? So you know what Faris and Rowley pretended? What Faris and Rowley pretended was, oops, we didn't say it. Let it go. We don't get what we wanted. Public office. When you accuse...
But we know that already.
But brother...
And we accept it. Okay, the UNC people accept it.
You can't...
Because I don't hear them fighting.
No. The UNC are one step behind the Progressive Empowerment Party, and they won't believe this. As of today...
The Progressive Empowerment Party
now jumped on
has accepted it.
No.
Because I never hear you fight this down.
Every single opportunity that I get, I raise this issue.
Sometimes
and I could show you.
If you
but
feel
snake,
so strongly
fire,
about
burglar.
This, if you feel so... Kalalu. We open the lines. To talk
no
to
pot, no fire.
Now let me just say this, right? People, I want you to listen to your telephones and not the radio or computer. Listen to us on the phone when you're calling in, all right?
222-TALK, 222-8255, 612-TALK, 612-8255. You can get in on the conversation. You on Facebook, you can start, you can text and ask your questions. As you know, we want to be very careful what we are saying. Anytime you say anything, I hit a disclaimer one time. Hey, I don't know nothing about that.
I am deferring to my PRO, Janice Lemon Cricket. She is answering all questions on behalf of the PEP.
But I am of the opinion that if ever they have to propose Mr. Gary Griffith, at least, ladies and gentlemen, the Emailgate scandal must be
resolved.
Must be resolved.
We cannot accept otherwise.
Otherwise, they
can't.
And
the people have to reject that.
Exactly.
I agree with you.
Hello, good evening. Hello? Yes, good evening.
Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon to Philip Alexander.
Good afternoon. Good evening, sorry.
I want want to know if you're
Listen
taking
to us on the
after-
phone. Listen to us on the phone. I know I'm telling you that. Listen to us
This
on the
is
phone.
one time that
Go ahead.
Caller.
We're hearing you.
that
Go.
I have to agree with Philip Alexander. If it's one time,
On what matter?
you cannot have a man that have this serious allegation hanging over his head and appoint him as commissioner of police.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much. Yeah, one
That is
time.
critical thinking.
One
I
time
keep
you
telling you,
were angry,
your
right?
thinkers, your audience in this show, brother, they not easier. And hey, condolences to your partner, boy. Maki.
Yeah, he was very
Maki, boy. Oh gosh, I'm sorry I didn't get to go up with you. Our hands have been full in it.
Good night, Mr. Gart, and good night to your guests.
Yes.
Good
Belmont
night.
here.
Yes.
Good night, Mr. Belmont.
No, I don't believe that the PNM, the government will approve Mr. Gary Griffith. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Not in our enlightened political times. These are not the days with Albert Gomes and Badis, Sagan Maraj and all those fellas who used to take decisions and turn them upside down and so on. These are more enlightened age. Although they are a weak government, I don't believe they are so stupid to entertain a man who won fourth, who is on a list. But you know the man I saw for in this whole thing, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams was on the list when Mr. Kolosky and Mr. Gibbs was appointed, you know. He was fourth because they had Mr. Parks on the top. And when those two appointees went out, they had a right to send forward Mr. Williams' name. I don't know why the Service Commission didn't send forward Mr. Williams' name. And he was advantaged. He was advantaged from Mr. Menendez.
All right.
And he is the man I believe
Thank you.
should have been appointed because...
Thank you very much. I don't know why you think he should have been appointed and he was acting and he made a whole mess of the damn thing. All right? Philip,
I'm not getting into the who, you know.
the Progressive
I'm not getting into the
Empowerment,
who.
the Progressive Empowerment Party, we know, and all the politicians admit that this process of electing or selecting, however you want to put it, Commissioner of Police in Trinidad and Tobago, tell us, how will the Progressive Empowerment Party elect or select a Commissioner of Police? Right after this call. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, gentlemen and ladies.
Good evening.
I just wanted to plug in here on an interview with Mr. Stephen Williams, acting commissioner, on another frequency a few days ago last week. They did ask him about the email, and he clearly stated that it has come to an end, and they have found that there was no substance to it. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. Thank you.
I need to answer that. God, I need to answer that.
Right.
God, you cannot traumatize a nation and accuse the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the Prime Minister's National Security Advisor of all the things that email gate hoax. Accuse them of. The nation was traumatized for days. For days. You cannot pretend that
Please.
it's over. It's only just begun. All you found out was that it's a hoax. Now the game begins. Now you go and you investigate the hoax makers. Now you go and find out what was at the heart of this email gate. Because I want to tell you something. Keith Rowley is in trouble. He knows that.
Big trouble. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Christopher.
Abdul
Everybody is here, Mr. Alexander, and I think Maki.
Yeah, my boy. What happening?
Good day, good evening, good
Good
everything.
evening, good evening.
Good evening, the PRO.
Yes, good evening.
And the political and the acting political.
Good evening, good evening.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Mhm. Go ahead.
Yes,
Yes,
to
go
the
ahead.
Well, I call you because I concur with everything Mr. Alexander said there and obviously and what God said because that was the argument I put across to people today. I want to see that. I want to see turning to the parliament when that nomination come up and if the government of the day will argue yes for Mr. Griffith. I know issue with Mr. Griffith as a person, but what the standard took in 2013 to know, well, if they do say yes, but I mean that whole thing, that whole email gate fiasco, that's a hoax. Hello?
Thank
Yeah, we
you.
hear you,
Thank
brother.
you.
Yeah, that had to be a hope.
Yeah.
Well, the caller before you.
Not really. There are
The
custom
caller-
cleaners that are all kind of
The
people in
caller,
office.
Yeah, go ahead,
the
brother.
caller before you, my brother, the caller before you informed us that Stephen Williams said, and I quoted
Yeah,
him.
he said
I
that
didn't-
something
I didn't-
on the 500 DDP office, yes, correct. But I believe the case could be reopened. Why not?
Oh, thanks a lot, caller.
Why not? And anyway, if it's true and in fact they actually picked Mr. Griffith and argue some case in Parliament, but the panel is right. Politics have variety of its own.
Indeed. Maki, I want to tell you
Have a good
something.
day.
You too, my
You too,
friend.
brother.
Maki, I
Thank
want
you
to
very
tell you
much.
something. Tell them Philip Alexander say this. The listeners on this show, what's the show called? Breaking the Cycle?
Yeah.
The listeners on this show gives me hope for my country. They cross party lines and speak to issues with a critical logic that inspires me. It makes me feel to go on. God tell me what's the point. That's the point.
How is a PEP going to elect a commissioner?
You have multiples of options. And at the end of the day, we are part of a commonwealth. So we could find what already exists. There is meritocracy, but we have the issue of our police service needed to be cleaned up. But meritocracy, I believe, should be the best thing, that you should say that you need a doctorate in criminology or a master's in law, so that you know, besides a long and blemish-free career, that you have somebody that is coming into the position who understands policing the Trinidad and Tobago way. That's important.
Let's see this one.
Hello, good evening.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen.
Yes.
Good day.
evening.
Hello?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Take down the volume and talk to us on the phone.
Yeah, well, I, like most of you, are scared if Gary Griffith becomes the new commissioner of police. I mean, apart from the sleaze that most people in different ways are using to mask his ascendancy, I believe that Gary Griffith is going to turn the place upside down. Now, most of the people who are fearful for one reason or the other are using a number of specious arguments that are directed to prevent any currency of the acceptance of Gary as the best choice for COP. And I also want to say, I think tonight's program is quite entertaining. I hope Richard Raghubar Singh records the script that you gentlemen turns into script, the contributions of you gentlemen, because I believe such a program will be a riotous success in its humor, in its productions.
Read that script and read words you never see before. Auspicious. Auspicious. You could tell when they get handed a script, you call in.
That must be in the script, yeah.
Yeah, you call in. You tell them.
Yeah, how...
That's one way,
I
a
mean,
meritocracy. There are other ways. I mean, our Chief Justice doesn't come from within the ranks. It doesn't have to be, but there are strong arguments for, because a police service is like a military organization, and they develop loyalty and relationships that works for and against you. But you're supposed to have things like an internal affairs division to keep the police service functional. A New York City police officer who gives me a lot of information, he tells me, he said, Philip, New York City police is 65,000 away. He said, New York City police don't afraid terrorists, you know. He said, we don't afraid gangster, we afraid internal affairs.
Will you use KPMB and these people? How are you going to elect a commissioner of police?
I strongly advise that we look to the successful Commonwealth countries. Look to Great Britain, look to Australia.
So you don't have a system that you would...
But I just said, my personal preference is meritocracy. I believe that out of the actual Trinidad and Tobago police service, if we encourage, and my same thing is for Minister of Education.
Do you want people voting for your police commissioner?
I think that would be a fantastic idea.
Let's see this go.
Hello,
Good evening. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
I want to say, if you had a poll on who would we want for the Commission of Police, most people would vote for Gary Griffith. everybody that has called in this morning on certain stations have been pleased to know that his name has gone forward.
Ma'am, I don't want you to go. I'm going to allow you to continue, but I don't want you to go because I need to ask you a question. Go right ahead.
You see, he did not apply for Deputy Commissioner of Police. He applied for the Commissioner of Police post. The two gentlemen that they selected prior to him, they applied for the Deputy Commissioner post. We have to remember that. I am convinced that Gary Griffith has the intelligence. He knows what he's about. When you hear him speak on the radio, he is sure of what he's doing. It's true he likes to talk a lot. But I think he has the intelligence. What I would like to say to him is that you have to be careful.
Ma'am,
because there are a lot of people in the police force that will try to get at him.
Okay, ma'am, we get your point, but let me ask you a question, all right? Seeing that the then opposition leader, Prime Minister now, went to the Parliament, accused the Prime Minister, Gary Griffith, who was the National Security Advisor, the Attorney General, Anna Ramlogan, Suraj Rambachan, of conspiracy. He accused them with 31 emails, and we know the whole thing about the Emailgate scandal. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Do you know Gary Griffith? Do you know Gary?
It has just sort of been shoved under the carpet. We never heard it was proved that it
Correct. Correct. But seeing that it was not concluded, it hasn't been concluded, the whole investigation hasn't been concluded and pronounced upon, do you believe that seeing that Gary Griffith's name is included and he's accused of certain very serious crimes, serious allegations, they are allegations, all right?
That the accuser.
Right? All right? Seeing that he is accused of serious allegations, do you think that the person
accuser
who accused him should now come and appoint him without the investigation being concluded?
Well, I think if we go on like that, we will never get a commissioner of police. We brought Gibbs here.
Thank you very kindly, ma'am. Thank you very kindly. You see what some people think in our country?
The media does a masterful job of manipulating emotions. That poor lady, she just wants something that looks like it will work. And Gary Griffith could be a good commissioner of police. The difference between being a Minister of National Security and being Commissioner of Police, though, is that Gary has to be able to work with the actual police service. I don't know how that will work out because the police service is itself separate and apart from everything else.
Yeah, but Gary's on record of saying that the current Minister of National Security dismantled everything that he did to fight crime when he was the Minister of National Security.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
So he's no. So if he's nominated,
but that same government, but that same exactly
to what reinstate what he dismantled.
God, I am saying again, Trinidad should not accept Keith Rowley accusing Gary Griffith of the crimes Keith Rowley accused Gary Griffith of, and now turn around and nominate him without retracting and recanting.
He must, and if he
that
does that,
is the stop. Right there is the stop. You cannot go to the police service.
But he cannot recant.
You cannot go. This lady who just called,
Philip,
darling that she was, bless her heart, she needs to understand that the Prime Minister
Philip,
cannot go
recant.
to
if
the
he
men.
Recants, he should be charged.
And yes,
for treason.
But okay. But to this sweet lady, I wanted to know that you cannot go to the men and the women of the police service because all the talk we just want to talk about the rogue and the corrupt. When a criminal or a bandit in your yard, who you calling? Not police. And we, but we,
the bandit police.
and you know what's sad? When you have the head of the Police Complaints Authority referring to the police service as a criminal gang, all of those things are wrong.
Hello, good evening. Hello.
Good night to you, guys.
There you go, pal.
Before you continue, keep it nice and decent, right? I'm very strict this evening.
It's ahead of time when I'm falling out.
No.
Not just you.
This goes for everybody across the board.
All those with the potential.
Kingsley boy, they tell me all that.
I must say, good United against, who's against the cat?
Philip Alexander.
I call that the split the vote party. Wow. Split the vote party. Let me say good night to them. But God, let me give a serious issue and not split the vote party. Because our country.
Kingsley.
Leave it.
No. Tell me to leave it. Kingsley.
Yes.
You can't insult my guest like that.
Yes. I'm your guy right here with you.
Go ahead.
Elephants don't bother with your opinions and mosquitoes.
Party right here. I don't want to talk about that party at all. God, I was surprised to see Dr. Keith Rowley and the government looking to choose, because we're sure as that if the PNM government is going to pick Guy Griffith. But this country telling Dr. Keith Rowley, do not make that mistake. How the hell we could pick a politician to be the next commissioner? We know what went on. This man was an advisor to the national security. This man also served under Bazio Pandey. And we know what went on in Bazio Pandey time in that house there. This man served as an advisor was the Kamala. He was a minister. He served under 3 different political parties. This man is a politician. How we could take a politician? What kind of country are we living in? I see Guy Griffith carrying a device to the police headquarters. He was close that they want to kill journalists in this country. That's what Dr. Keith Rowley went in Parliament and do. Use Parliament privilege and said Kamala want to kill, Ram Logan want to kill, Guy Griffith want to kill. And today you must tell me a leader of a country went in Parliament and make allegation on a certain government. That allegation bring down the government. That serious scandal, because I call it nasty Dr. Keith Rowley scandal, bring down the UNC government and the partnership. And today I was surprised. And I want to tell to Dr. Keith Rowley, if you made that mistake and point a man like Gary Griffith, the police will never do the work now. The police will undermine him. That is my feeling. That is my feeling. I believe that the police will undermine Gary Griffith because the police service themselves have no confidence in Gary Griffith. Because how you could tell me today, when the PM come in power, they mash up, they scramble, they turn away, they say we don't want no UNC plan, and they take all Gary Griffith because when Gary Griffith was the Minister of National Security, he put some policy in place to solve crime. The PNM, with Dr. Keith Rowley as the leader, he scrambled it, he mashed up, and today, this country must reject Gary Griffith. We must watch Gary Griffith as a politician. You must watch him as he wants to be in the politics so bad. It come like Gypsy. It come like Gypsy. So the question I want to ask before I go, if Dr. Keith Rowley picked Kamala to be the next education minister, do the PNM people will support it? Because these are the same people who are saying, Gary Griffith and them lock up 9,000 African people. Gary Griffith, and there are 7 days holidays. This man call Austin Jack Warner and tell him about the former Prime Minister have a long weekend. When Jack Warner bring it out in the media, he said it wasn't truth. But when my former boss bring on the tape and he played it and hear Gary Griffith spitting him out like bullets and spit coming out of that phone and talking how Kamala have 7 days weekend from Wednesday, she goes on holidays, and then next Monday. We know Gary Griffith, he also talk about matching black roach, and we know who is the black roach in this country. We know who Gary Griffith was targeting, and today, we know what the acting AG, the acting and commissioner.
Kingsley,
the investigation.
Kingsley,
yes.
The same people, the same PNM people who were accusing the then government, of which Guy Griffith was a part of, concerning the locking up 8,000 black people in Mova and Laventille,
Yes.
them saying right now they want Gary Griffith because the Prime Minister saying so.
It's the best thing for them. You know what? We just deal with sycophants. We just deal with for nothing.
All right.
Wait.
Thank you.
I think the internet just broke. A sycophant just say we're dealing with sycophants. I want to say something to you, God. Now, you're Kingsley, you know you're a sycophant. You're a sycophant. Stick up in. God, I want to say something. Gary Griffith is an excellent choice for Commissioner of Police. And I want to say this. That man, he just talk a crocus bag of nonsense. Gary Griffith is an excellent choice for Commissioner of Police. Not with the cloud hanging over his head. The Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago should be made to recant every word that he said about Gary Griffith. And that still remains my point. That Gary Griffith cannot be nominated by Keith Rowley if Keith Rowley said Gary Griffith is guilty of all these crimes. Keith Rowley have to pick a struggle. Pick one. Because I want to know, when you, on the 20th of May 2013, made all of these allegations, and you and your Attorney General defended it up to last year, what changed that all of a sudden, the same man that you said was guilty of conspiring to destabilize the justice system, to misbehave in public office, to commit treason and murder,
Do you know?
what changed that made you think that he would also be a good Commissioner of Police?
Now, the Commissioner of Police, the acting Commissioner of Police tenure is going to be up in about October. If a substantial Commissioner of Police is not appointed, then what's going to go on with us? Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Good evening.
you have to be careful because a number of people have said things in Parliament over the years, and especially over the last 5 years and 3 months, that were untruths or they were distortions. I mean, the last glaring case was the case with the Speaker of the House, Wade Mark, where he told an outright lie about the correspondence from the judiciary that halted any kind of thing against Larry Hawaii. So you can't just pick certain things and ask, in this case, for Rowley to make a clean breast of what went on as far as the veracity of his allegations goes. You can't pick an him alone. There are so many others.
Caller, could I ask?
You're saying you like Gary.
No, I do. But I want to ask you a question.
No, you make
I want to ask you a question.
You make a lot of sense tonight.
Thank you.
One thing I say, you're very glib. All right? Your points are okay, all right? But
I am the
thing is,
sexiest politician.
you know, a very important fact, and a lot of people are missing out. This crime thing is horrendous.
Caller.
And we have to rest down some of our weapons.
Caller, hold a second.
Just hold a second. Hold a second.
Yeah.
Are you a person who is concerned with his reputation?
Whose reputation?
Yours. If somebody...
His reputation?
No, your personal reputation. If you found out somebody in the community was saying nasty things about you, how would you feel about that?
Well, I go along with the view that many times we tend to personalize what other people say.
If it was affecting
many of us to
if it was affecting your life, if it was affecting your life, let's say people were saying you're a bandit, and then you go to get
raper, man.
Or you go to get a job. No, they ain't hiring no bandit and no job. When you go by churches, chicken and rituals, they're hiring you because people say, hey, don't hire, he's a bandit.
I like how you're stretching out the thing to the point where you want me to
I want to ask you a question. Is your reputation? Because comparing Keith Rowley, accusing Gary Griffith, caller,
an attorney to take it from there. But too many of us
see?
tend to be so thin.
But no, but you're right.
So we like to give
You just made the point.
You might be, God might be walking down the road and one of the paddles might see one of the other people and say, God, your brother. But God, you're no brother.
All right, hello. Hello. I'm very strict this evening. No playing this evening. Sydney, no, man.
We just
got it true. No,
we
but
just have a couple minutes.
Right?
Yes.
God,
Serious things.
the sycophants will be the sycophants. You have to take those. And that comes with the par for the course. And you had one of each. So I think you're doing good. But the majority of callers were incredible. And I want to go back to the lady because Because I could hear in her voice, I could hear the fear for the country. And that she somehow thinks that because the media has sold this idea that a commissioner of police could fix it. A commissioner of police cannot fix it. We didn't even have that conversation.
Do you think Gary Griffith will, let's say he's appointed, he's in uniform and accepts the position, he's in the position. Do you think he'll reopen up that email, do you think?
I can't answer for Gary Griffith.
He has to be instructed to do it.
No, but I can't answer for Gary. But I want to say, and that is precisely the point, that because of the fact that it affects him, he has to tread carefully. The PNM.
So you mean he's going to leave it alone?
No, but Maki, that's the point. How could you have a prime minister who has that cloud hanging over his head, that the prime minister accused him of these things? Trinidadians have to understand, you know.
He might say he did it when he was opposition.
You see,
leader,
plain and simple.
Come out and say you did it.
Plain and simple. Gary Griffith cannot accept that position.
Why?
He cannot accept that position because his name, he's fingered in it. And if, as commissioner, other people were to ask for it to be reopened, how is he going to deal with it?
I even mentioned the fact
how is he going to deal with it being reopened? Let's say we want the police to reopen the investigation. Would he have to recuse himself?
I never even mentioned the fact that Gary is a witness in the David West and Ram Logan matter. Without Gary's story, the thing collapses. You know that? Without Gary's statement, the David West and Ram Logan matter collapses, and Ram Logan should go back to being the Attorney General. We are playing games with pieces on a board and not understanding to the 1.4 million people looking on that this is not real leadership. This is not what they expect from government. They expect people to stop playing the fool. If you say that something is something, then prove to me that that something is something. You cannot change your position conveniently. I want to know. If on May 20th, 2013, you accuse a man of such heinous accusations, and you and your Attorney General defended it right up to the last year, all of a sudden you say he's good for Commissioner of Police. I want to know what changed.
And quite frankly, I interviewed Gary maybe about twice or three times right here. And I've looked Family Day, I've said, Gary, I think Gary would make a great commissioner of police. Given
man knows his stuff. The man knows his stuff.
You understand what I'm saying?
He knows his stuff.
But in these circumstances,
and we cannot divorce them. We cannot divorce them.
He cannot accept this position. It's going to be too.
And Trinidadians have to start to raise. Trinidadians have to start to raise their standards a little more and expect better from public office holders. Keith Rowley needs to come straight with the people or step down. And tomorrow I am going to be outside the Prime Minister's office calling for Keith Rowley to fire himself.
All right, that's all the time we have now. We'll see you. I'm sorry to the other callers. We'll see you next week, Monday, God's willing. And we just want the final words from Philip Haddon. From the acting political leader and the PRO of the Progressive Empowerment Party.
You have my final words.
Yes.
Well, Trinidad and Tobago, I am now the acting political leader. It's a new chapter for the Progressive Empowerment Party. I believe that Philip has done a remarkable job, and I am just ready to forge my own path, of course, with his knowledge and advice behind me and that of the entire team. So things have not stopped for the Progressive Empowerment Party. Actually, clearly it has not stopped. Belmont East and the Barataria was just the first stop, and we're championing forward. So Trinidad and Tobago, look out for us.
Good night, everybody. I think that I concur with Felicia. The party itself is alive and well, and we all look forward to Philip getting a good R&R, even though I tell him he's looking like a drunken sailor. But he certainly needs to rest, and I appreciate that he really does need the rest, because I am now having to handle some of the radio shows, and I tell you, having to get out of my bed on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock when I should be in bed until 10, you know, I now understand how he is truly feeling, having done this for more than a year, 18 months and change. So we do wish him a good rest, and that he will come back swinging, and the party, of course, would be moving forward and getting ready for the next local government and the general election.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good night.
Now that got Christopher breaking the cycle.